Just because Kiri has been cornered doesn't mean she is going to be defeated in no time. The training captain of Cygnus Knights is not that easy to take down after all. The Black Mage followers are still confident that she won't be able to hold out against them much. Using her Solar Sword and Solar Slash skills, Kiri proves to them that she is not to be underestimated. She asks them their purpose, but William seems to be done with fooling around. He tells the others to kill her so multiple of them attack Kiri. Before they can reach her, a strong attack out of nowhere slashes their bodies into pieces. As the shock settles, Debo comes into view, standing tall and angry. As Debo is helping the guy tells him to give her greetings to Kiri while bringing his hand with a magic attack. However, before it can touch Debo, a fire arrow strikes the hand. The knight is left screaming in pain over losing his hand. Debo is still confused about what's going on, while Elpam stands there proudly telling the knight how he doesn't have the habit of trusting anyone. Not to mention, the knight's see-through fade for Elpam. Debo and Kiri stand in front of William, who isn't fond of the idea of having an uninvited guest to his game. Seems like he likes to play unfairly in terms of numbers with his opponents. He's informed that Debo is from Gapper Guild, which means the knight who didn't kill Kiri on time also failed at his chance of redeeming himself. Focusing back on the issue at hand, William decides to send his elites against the two because Kiri and Debo look strong. Kiri tells Debo to be careful, which he considers as a warning because those jokers seem like pervies. As the enemies charge at them, Debo tells Kiri to take down at least one while he deals with the rest. Kiri constantly reminds him not to let his guard down, but Debo doesn't consider it worth it to keep up a guard. He dodges one of the attackers easily, but it turns out that the attackers don't play any roles. Instead, they will use any chance to kill them. Double-crossing Debo, they start attacking him from everywhere. A fire arrow comes his way, but Debo manages to barely dodge it. However, by this time, another mage has sneaked up on his back. He manages to slash Debo's back, but Debo is still wondering how shallow can their moves get. It seems like Debo doesn't realize this isn't a game, and they don't care if they have to be petty to kill them. The villains would use any chance. The attacker turns back with another one of his attacks, making Kiri question what Debo is doing. She cannot help him since she is currently defending against another one of the mages. However, Debo easily dodges the second attack, and with dark eyes tells Kiri that he is just toying with them. He then uses the polearm to get rid of that attacker. Another opponent shoots attacks at Debo, but Debo is quick to dodge them away and retaliate. It makes everyone question how he is so strong, but that's exactly what Debo is showing them here. This person gets alarmed when he hears Kiri from behind. Looking back, he finds his fellow whom Kiri was fighting being kicked towards him. He dodges the blow and listens to Kiri mock them for calling such weaklings and easy cases their elites. William can see that the situation is getting out of their hands, so he decides to intervene, announcing, "This is as far as they can go, as they have wasted too much of their time." This is followed by a fire arrow being aimed at Debo. Debo is surprised to see him use a fire arrow, and his eyes widen even more upon realizing that it is faster than Elpham's. A blow on Debo and Kiri's side makes William give a happy victory speech, starting from how Debo shouldn't have let his guard down seeing it was just a fire arrow, because his fire arrows are on another level. He then boasts about Debo being unable to dodge it, even if he had tried. He tells his fellows to move and start clearing the dungeon now that they're done here. However, as the smoke clears, William's arrogant words are slammed back as a slap to his ego as Elpam stands in front of Debo. Unscathed, and having dodged the blow of the fire arrow, William must be annoyed at the dramatic entries of different people he didn't intend to encounter at all. But instead of answering who he is, Elpam points to a side, informing them about another guest. Using his magic, Elpam had lured all the ribbon pigs in the direction of where William and his fellows stood, leaving them stunned. With some scratches and bruises, William and his team manage to survive against the ribbon pigs. However, he is extremely pissed that Elpam decided to run away after luring the pigs towards them. He wants everyone to chase after the three, but they aren't all done with the pigs yet. He wants the ones free to start looking already, not wanting to risk them leaving the gate. This situation is starting to become a headache for William, as if he isn't the one killing adventurers and causing issues for others. William can feel something troublesome about Elpam, so he specifically tells the others to hold Elpam down so he can personally deal with him. Gerald, his fellow, doesn't think William should take a risk and face someone who doesn't seem like an easy deal. William has to remind him that he shouldn't be worried about him as he is the strongest person present at the gate at the moment. Getting a little farther away, Kiri seems lost in her thoughts. Elpam is also looking blank, while Debo laughs at the stunned expressions of the mages. He believes they might not have survived being trampled by those pigs, but Elpam tells him they aren't that easy to kill. He also tells Debo to be careful of traps around the dungeon. Debo is on alert about that, but still curious why Elpam didn't kill them off himself, and decided to stall the situation. Debo is talking about it, but all the words are left hanging when Elpam tells him because William is stronger than him. Debo cannot believe what he is hearing. Elpam thinks about the attack before. He had thrown his fire arrow to destroy William's fire arrow, but his arrow barely managed to deflect the trajectory of William's arrow. Debo tries to convince himself that it is a joke, but when has Elpam ever done something as insignificant as joking? He stands there with the straightest face, accepting that they indeed simply ran away to save their lives. Elpam looks at his circles and can see that they have widened, increasing the speed and power of his attacks to their peak. So either way, William should have been weaker or equal to him. Something about his magic is beyond comprehension for Elpam. It is a surety that William is a two-circle adventurer to have entered the gate, but how he strengthened his powers is a mystery for now. Hence, indeed, William is the strongest adventurer in the gate right now. Turns out it wasn't just William's arrogance talking. Our strongest hero has given the verdict too. Debo also starts wondering what they should do now. He offers to use the hobs to attack the mages, but Elpam tells him hobs aren't that plain-minded and will figure they are their enemies too. So luring them is hard. The two are interrupted when Kiri tells them to stop blabbering, as they aren't understanding what situation they are in right now. However, just like all the previous times, Kiri once again proves that her mindset is nothing but a disappointment. Her focus is currently on the fact that a black mage was hidden within the Cygnus Knights, and that they should just leave the gate and report it to the higher-ups. Kiri tells them they should give up on clearing the gate, but Elpam calls it pointless. Before Debo can say something, Kiri opens her arrogant mouth, calling them slaves and accusing them of still thinking of the measly rewards. She really is just strength and no intelligence with the way she speaks. Elpam finally speaks up, telling her that her idea of going out and reporting is not gonna work out. Even if they do so, or get rid of this group, it won't be anything more than cutting one branch of a tree that has been growing its roots over decades. The Black Mage followers have been growing in number for decades and are still not openly out in the open. If they decide to hide themselves again after this incident, there will be no way of finding them, and they will become a parasite that eats away Maple World from where not one can see. Kiri clenches her teeth and stomps forward, holding Elpham's fist in her cloak and shouting at him for listing out all the risks and how no one's plan is going to work, but not giving any solution in response. She lashes out that they are being chased right now, so a little of Kiri's fear is finally let out, showing she doesn't know what to do with the situation optimally either. Elpam grins, telling her that they should let the mages know who the real hunter is. The hunters are running forward and talking about how they should quickly find the three before they get out of the gate and expose them. Suddenly, Debo appears behind them and attacks one of them. The mage dodges the attack while the other one appears behind Debo, telling him it was a mistake for Debo to come looking for them. The two decide to kill Debo this time, but before they can do much, a rope is cut and a log of tree falls on one of them. Debo attacks the other one, but he is quick to dodge too. Still, it doesn't mean that his attacks can harm Debo. Dodging one of them, Debo decides to take this fight to fists. He starts punching and kicking the guy pretty brutally, not giving him a chance to retaliate at all. One of the other mages tries to attack Debo from afar, but Kiri is already pissed at the situation, and she is the perfect person for Kiri to take it out on. William stands at another place, casually saying how they have all started the confrontation. He then questions Elpam, who is standing at little distance in front of him, about his curiosity about Elpam and the team waiting on them. Not getting a response from Elpam, William laughs, telling him they should get started too then. With the sickest grin he could muster, William shoots a fire arrow toward Elpam, while with an intense stare, Elpam does the same. Elpam dodges the fire arrow thrown by William and throws one of his while being on the move. William is thoroughly impressed that Elpam is a good fight. As Elpam's arrow strikes, smoke rises, making him wait to see what happens. However, a rock almost shoots at Elpam through the smoke. As he dodges the rock, William appears close behind his back, mocking Elpam for doing just that. He then shoots another fire arrow from a very close distance towards Elpam, as fire from the impacts of their arrows surrounds them. Elpam and William stand facing each other. William asks how he cancelled out his fire arrow just now. Elpam rewards him with his famous response: silence. William says he doesn't seem like a talkative person. Congratulations, Mr. Obvious. William also realizes there isn't any space for conversation during a fight and tells Elpam that he will figure it out himself. William throws another fire arrow at Elpam and is shocked to see him use his telekinesis to make his fire arrow act as a drill against his magic. William is genuinely surprised as he hasn't seen something of that sort ever before. It is almost unbelievable to see someone strengthen their skills with telekinesis. William calls him the genius type of adventurer, something he despises, maybe because he can never be one. William decides to make things fun for himself and tells Elpam to show him more of what he can do. With another fire arrow, Elpam uses his telekinesis to create a shield of rocks with it, but it is easily pierced through by William's arrow. Elpam runs towards a side, making William mock him for playing hide and seek. However, there is a good expression of surprise and disbelief on his face when a fire arrow is trajected towards him out of nowhere. William didn't even know when Elpam cast it. Elpam uses his telekinesis to turn it back towards William every time he dodges it. He keeps making William jump around until he finally feels done with the situation. Elpam annoyed him so much that his veins popped up on his face. Striking a fire arrow of his own towards Elpam, he makes him use his revolver thing again. Now, William is satisfied that Elpam has used both of his shots and uses this opportunity to release poison breath towards him. Elpam clearly didn't expect that coming. As the breath spreads around, William gives a tiny description of how poison breath leaves one wide open while casting it so. William stalled for the opportunity to make Elpam use both his specialties and be on a cooldown. William is confident that Elpam won't be able to do anything for about 30 minutes now, making it easy for William to kill him. Being a psychopath already, William laughs while telling Elpam that he is also on his cooldown, so he will be using his dagger to kill Elpam. He then starts narrating how he is eager to see the expressions of fear and despair on Elpam's face, but his narration doesn't even make him realize that Elpam has moved to punch him right across the face. William looks like an even bigger clown as he falls backward at the impact of the punch. But how did Elpam move? Well, we finally get to know this through a flashback after Debo and Elpam beat the clown mushroom. It was always a mystery how they survived the last poison attack by the mushroom. Iburu kept pegging Debo to tell him how they managed to survive. He finally offers to pay for the drinks if Debo tells him the secret. Debo laughs, telling him it'd be pointless because he won't be able to do that even if he knew. He then finally proceeds to narrate this skill that Elpam presumably called the room. It involves using telekinesis to suck and trap the air from the atmosphere. Just when Debo thought they won't survive this time, Elpam sucked up all the poison from the large area. Debo then laughs at Iburu, telling him it wasn't anything special. Iburu is annoyed that he has to pay for a drink after knowing it is some cheat skill. Debo laughs that his boss is a straight-up cheat character. Indeed. Back to the present, Elpam stands unaffected by the poison breath in the same way. He keeps on punching and kicking William, not letting him even utter any word properly. After brutally beating William up and throwing him across a tree, Elpam brings his staff back to him and shoots at fire arrow toward William in a hopefully final attempt. William is barely moving right now, but still tries to use his poison breath again while being furious at Elpam. Elpam uses his room skill, yet again making William's poison breath useless. Elpam can see through William's act of looking like he has gone insane, but wants to target something. He assumes William must be aiming to get his hands back on his staff and is confident that he can end William in a moment. However, just when he thinks Things are going toward their end. A huge attack shoots toward Elpam, leaving him no time to dodge or retaliate. William, being the maniac, starts laughing, hysterically ready to destroy Elpam. Elpam lies on the ground injured, thinking about underestimating William, since he didn't expect a flame orb to be William's wild card. As another flame orb is directed at him, Elpam thinks about how he wouldn't have overlooked such a detail before his regression, so he seems to have lost his touch. The huge explosion makes Debo look back and worry about his boss. Beheading the mage Kiri was fighting, she tells Debo to stop fooling around and get rid of them, since Elpam is facing someone he can't face alone. Debo is annoyed that she ordered him about something he was already planning to do. Debo is us. However, just as the two of them get rid of the mage's green hobs appear at the site, Debo isn't entirely surprised to see them, while Kiri is confident they can get rid of the hobs in no time. Debo tells her it is not as easy as it seems to her, and amongst the hobs in front of them, an odd one stands out, clearly being the boss of others. William breathes heavily after finally killing Elpam with his attacks, or so he presumes. He then starts vomiting out blood and chuckles, giving Elpam enough credit to be an interesting competitor. Interestingly enough, William says to himself that he should have asked for Elpam's name. What he must not have thought about was a rough voice telling him the name of his opponent. Looks like Elpam found the perfect timing to respond to William's insignificant talking. Elpam tells him to memorize it well, since it is the last time he'll hear it alive. Bro really saved up on words to serve at the perfect timings. William is not amused, as he believes there is no chance of Elpam winning against him. Elpam tells him he knows it is impossible to defeat him with just 2 rings. He shows William a mana stone. William is a little surprised, but he starts laughing, telling Elpam that just consuming a mana stone isn't enough to circle up. He needs enlightenment through countless experiences. William looks crazy while laughing in confidence. Only if he knew. Elpam quite literally has a lifetime of experience. Elpam tells William exactly that, and William's annoying laugh slowly fades away as he watches William's wrist getting a 3rd circle. William thinks Elpam is bluffing and shoots a fire arrow towards him, but Elpam has the coldest of glares while shooting his newly strengthened fire arrow towards William. William uses his flame orb against Elpam, but Elpam, converting his fire arrow into a revolver, easily pierces through the flame orb, leaving William exposed to the revolver next. As the flames settle, there is nothing left of William's body other than the remains of his legs. As the perfect ending statement, Elpam mentions forgetting to ask for William's name, as if he could ever be interested in that. The hobs look around for the two, but Kiri is hiding with an injured Debo behind a tree. She is tense about things getting complicated for them. They were fighting the monsters one by one, which was pretty easy for Debo, which surprised Kiri. He could see the patterns of movements by the hobs, and counted his hunts confidently when a blow suddenly came his way. It was an orbital flame cast by the leader hob using a human staff. Kiri timely took Debo and hid, but she didn't expect the hobs to know how to use human tools like the magic staff. She is thinking about how there seems to be no choice but to wait for Elpam, who is hopefully still alive. However, her thoughts are interrupted by a peek-a-boo from a hob. Good for Kiri's reflexes, she saves herself and Debo in time and starts rushing away as the hobs follow. Throwing Debo in the air, she deals with a hob and catches him back like a cool hero. Even though the situation is troublesome, she thinks she can handle the hobs one at a time, as long as it isn't the leader one. The leader starts using flame attacks towards Kiri. Poor girl has a hard time running while carrying Debo around. When an attack finally reaches her, Debo wakes up in time and helps dodge it. Kiri is on the ground behind him and cannot believe that the guy she calls a mophead is strong enough not only to dodge those attacks, but also to fight through multiple hobs at once and reach towards the leader hob to attack him. Kiri is amazed by such skills from a first circle adventurer, but that staff being in the hob's hand makes things still difficult. Debo is once again attacked, and Kiri saves him from a brutal impact on the ground. She tells him to rest while she handles the situation now. The hob is about to launch. Another attack when a revolving flame arrow comes and pierces through it, finishing the story in one go. Kiri stands there with her mouth hanging open as a beaten-up, yet strong Elpam claims he isn't too late after all. Longko is lazing around outside the gate thinking about how it is easy to make money by just sitting out, but spending 4 days out like that has started getting his body itchy. His thoughts are interrupted when he hears some noises nearby and then sees the gate starting to disappear. He rushes to his fellow kite, who informs him that someone must have returned for the gate to disappear. Longko sees Elpam, Debo, and Kiri lying outside the gate, tired of their injuries. Elpam wakes up in a bed with Longko sitting opposite the bed. He straight up confronts Elpam about how there were only 3 survivors from the gate. Elpam shows surprise about there being only 3 survivors and talks to himself about having such a guess. He is then seriously asked to reply to the question about what happened inside the gate and not stall the conversation. Elpam is a great actor to painfully mention about there being a demon inside. He then asks for a piece of paper to draw and show them who the boss monster was. Longko takes the sketch, sighs, and goes for the meeting. Everyone in the meeting is in a rage about how only 3 people survived in a 100-man gate when the majority of the adventurers were aces of their guilds, and a red gate can't be that hard to conquer to only leave 3 survivors. The representatives of various guilds question the situation. Longko tells them he doesn't think the 3 are lying and then shows them the sketch of the boss monster. Seeing a green hob, they all know those monsters are intelligent enough to use human items. Some of the representatives finally realize that fighting against the Green Hob army wouldn't have been that easy, but the Gold-Rich Merchant Guild's representative doesn't believe that the Natasha sisters could have fallen to something like that. He then claims that this was an incident of trolling, since there is not means for the outsiders to see what happened inside the gate, which means some adventurers might have taken advantage of such a situation. He builds his case that all the survivors were from the same guild too. Pretty interesting argument that his strong Natasha girls could have survived against the boss, but not the people he considers weaker than them. Abyss claims that he cannot hear such accusations on Gapor Guild anymore. They simply survived because they were the best ones around. He doesn't seem to leave any chance of using the Elpam he hates for his benefit. The two start laughing arrogantly while arguing about how Gapor Guild is placed at last of the 10 great merchant unions, while Abyss responds that they are new and will be topping the charts and replacing them pretty soon. Longko gets tired of the weird laughing and argument by the two and tells them to shut about it. Abyss finally gives them solid proof that his adventurers didn't bring any item out of the gate. There is practically no other incentive for trolling, so the case is clear. Longko lets the 3 go away. Elpam, being the fakest gentleman, bows to Longko, thanking him for the care. Since they have concluded the gate, there remains no reason to keep the 3 in question anymore. As the 3 walk away with Kiri still helping Debo walk and his boss Elpam walking alone casually, she is surprised to see a snail that follows them outside for real. A little throwback inside the gate again. At the exit gate, Kiri questioned Elpam's confusion since they had gotten rid of the Black Mage followers, had also gotten rid of the boss monster, and was near the front gate. All they have to do now is throw away all the items and hurt each other a little bit before they leave. Really? An overstatement when they're all already hurt. Elpam looks at her as 2 feathers shine in his bag. He agrees that this should be the plan, but then expresses that he found Phoenix feathers with William. Just holding them can increase the output of fire magic by 30%, and unlike other items that don't stack, this can have its effects stacked as well. This increase in power is what must have resulted in all other adventurers being wiped out in no time. This is an unexpected gain, and Elpam thinks it needs to be taken out no matter how. Kiri reminds him that taking anything out that they didn't register before will result in suspicion of trolling towards them. She is basically repeating what Elpam had told her before and tells him to not be greedy and do as they had initially planned since they stand in front of them. Exit gate already. Their discussion is disturbed by a snail appearing near them. The pet snail is also a monster, unlike other snail monsters. It doesn't have any attack power, it simply tends to sniff out and collect items. The more items the snail collects, the larger its shell becomes. Things seem to be almost always convenient for Elpam in his second life. Elpam found out about this life form in his previous life after the gate was opened. Sitting on Elpham's shoulder, the snail surfs through its shell and brings out the feathers for him. Elpam smiles towards the feathers while the snail looks at him with big duo eyes. Seems like the cute little monster has a cute little crush on a human. Kiri asks Elpam about how he knew the use of this snail, since he managed to bring out what he wanted without being detected. Elpam tells her he decided to try something rather than leaving empty-handed. Kiri then focuses on the serious matter at hand and asks him what the next step is supposed to be, since she already did what he had asked her to do inside the gate. Elpam tells her not to rush things, since the Black Mage followers have made their way inside the Cygnus Knights as well. They need to be careful about getting intel, or else the mages could go deeper in hiding. He tells her they should wait about what happens ahead, since the news must have already reached them. The leader of the cult is reported about all their imposters being wiped out and the failure of this raid. He is told that their people fell victim to the boss monster and failed the raid, only leaving 3 survivors from the Gapper Guild. He also tells about the said suspicions of trolling, but since they were on Gapper Guild and not them, it means they are clear. And since their trolling case didn't have enough evidence either, there is no risk of possible investigation either. They feel like it is good that they weren't exposed even, though the mission ended up being a failure, unaware that there are 3 weirdly intense people keeping tabs on them now. They decide to prepare for them. Next mission. The leader, the white-haired guy, who we still don't know the name of, asks if they were caught. The reporter tells him about how their initial plan was to get rid of all the parties and kill the boss monster. But if that didn't happen, it means at least one of the 3 must have seen William. Not like the leader should care. William is gone forever. But the reports Elpam submitted also did not have any such mention, which means their secret is still safe and intact. They aren't wrong to speculate that. Elpam has no means of hiding such a thing, and even if he did realize William's truth, he must not know that they had their people disguised in multiple merchant unions. However, what they don't know is this guy is living his life the second time and wants to amend some things that went wrong the previous time. The leader still wonders about the risk of Elpam realizing that they are a union that follows black magic and spreading this information. Poor guy doesn't even know his people casually explained the entire story with the assumption that they'll survive. The reporter thinks that they should cut off all the members infiltrated in other merchant unions, but the leader is focused on some kind of invitation. He excitedly decides to pick out a stage where they can be the 101st guests. A confusing statement from his side,